When the Johnson family booked a charming Airbnb in Cincinnati for the weekend, they were looking forward to a much-needed escape from the daily grind. The listing promised a cozy stay in a historic home, complete with antique furnishings, a picturesque garden, and plenty of character. Tom and Lisa Johnson, along with their two children Ella and Jake, arrived on a sunny Friday afternoon, eager to settle in. The house was everything they'd hoped for: quaint, welcoming, and steeped in an old-world charm that made it feel like stepping back in time. The floors creaked underfoot, the air smelled faintly of aged wood, and the walls were adorned with black and white photos of the home's original owners. Despite its quirks, it felt perfect for a weekend of family bonding. As night fell, the family gathered in the living room for board games and snacks. Around 10 p.m., a low, eerie creak echoed from upstairs, breaking the cozy ambiance. "Just the house settling," Tom said with a chuckle, trying to reassure his family. Ella, the youngest, glanced nervously at the ceiling. "It sounded like footsteps," she whispered. Lisa ruffled her daughter's hair and smiled. "Old houses make funny noises, sweetie. Nothing to worry about." The family carried on with their evening, but as the hours passed, the strange noises grew harder to ignore. Soft thuds, distant whispers, and the occasional sound of something scraping against wood seemed to weave themselves into the quiet of the night. Tom decided to investigate. Armed with a flashlight and his phone, he climbed the creaking staircase, each step amplifying his sense of unease. When he reached the second floor, the air felt colder, heavier. The dim hallway stretched before him, the faint glow of moonlight filtering through a small window at the end. He followed the noise to the main bedroom. Inside, everything seemed normal, but the floorboards groaned beneath his weight as he stepped further in. A sudden chill swept past him, making the hairs on his arms stand on end. His eyes were drawn to a section of the floor near the bed where the boards didn't align perfectly. Kneeling down, Tom pressed on the uneven plank. It shifted slightly under his weight. His curiosity piqued. He fetched a screwdriver from the kitchen and returned to pry it open. Beneath the floorboards was a hidden compartment, dusty and undisturbed. Inside, he found a stack of old letters tied together with a faded ribbon. The paper was brittle, the ink smudged, but the writing was legible. The letters detailed the life of the house's former occupants, a family not unlike the Johnsons. One letter, dated September 1928, described the mysterious disappearance of a young girl named Clara, the youngest daughter of the family. The mother wrote about strange occurrences leading up to Clara's vanishing, whispers in the night, furniture moving on its own, and an oppressive feeling of being watched. As Tom read the last letter, a soft shuffle sounded behind him. His breath caught in his throat. Slowly he turned, his flashlight slicing through the darkness of the room. There was no one there. "Lisa?" he called out, his voice trembling. No response. The atmosphere in the room shifted, becoming dense and suffocating. Tom's instincts screamed at him to leave, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. The letters, still clutched in his hand, seemed to emit a faint whisper, like the murmurs of a distant conversation. He strained to listen, and the whispers grew clearer. They weren't random, they were warnings. "Leave. You shouldn't be here. It's not safe." The creaking intensified, as if the house was alive and responding to his presence. Tom stood, his heart pounding, and backed toward the door. Suddenly, it slammed shut with a force that shook the walls. Panicked, Tom tried the handle, but it wouldn't budge. He banged on the door, shouting for Lisa, but his voice seemed to vanish into the oppressive silence. Downstairs, Lisa heard the commotion. She rushed to the staircase, only to be stopped by Jake, who grabbed her arm. "Mom, don't go up there," he said, his face pale. "What are you talking about?" she asked, alarmed. "I saw someone," Jake whispered. "In the window. But it wasn't Dad." Lisa froze. "What do you mean?" "It looked like a girl," Jake said. "She was just standing there, staring at me." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine but shook it off. "Stay here with Ella," she instructed, forcing a calmness she didn't feel. Grabbing her phone, Lisa climbed the stairs, calling out for Tom. When she reached the bedroom door, she heard muffled banging and Tom's voice on the other side. "Tom, what's going on? Lisa, get me out of here!" he yelled. Lisa twisted the handle, but the door wouldn't move. She tried again, using her full weight, and finally, it burst open. Tom stumbled out, pale and shaken, the letters falling from his grasp. "We need to leave," he said, his voice hoarse. "Now." Lisa looked at him, confused and scared. What happened? Tom couldn't explain it. He didn't have the words. All he knew was that the house wasn't just old, it was alive. As the family hurriedly packed their things, the house seemed to protest. The walls groaned, the floors trembled, and the whispers grew louder. When they finally stepped outside, the air felt lighter, as if they'd escaped a suffocating grip. They didn't look back as they drove away, leaving the house and its haunting secrets behind. Later, out of morbid curiosity, Tom searched for information about the house. What he found sent a shiver down his spine. In 1928, a girl named Clara had and indeed gone missing from that very home. Her body was never found, and the case remained unsolved. Locals believed the house was cursed, a place where the past refused to rest. The Johnson family never spoke of the incident again, but the memory of that weekend lingered, a dark shadow that haunted them long after they'd left Cincinnati. They knew one thing for certain: some places are better left undisturbed.